Hello everybody, the name's Eccentric, and how have you all been? Today we're going to have something quite different actually. Basically this is going to be a review slash rant about the new Attack on Titan slash Shingeki no Kyojin movie which I just watched earlier. If you are afraid of spoilers or you already know how good or bad the movie is or whatever, I suggest you skip this. Because I'm just going to be a lot of complaining, and I'm actually a fan of the series also, but I've only watched the anime. I'm not very well acquainted with the manga and or whatever it entails, so cut me some slack. I'm one of the new guys, okay? Alright, to get into the meat of things, I went to watch the movie like about an hour ago. I just got home actually. And I had a lot of thought on the movies. Like, I went to watch the movie with a lot of people telling me like the movie is really seriously bad. And I thought like, okay, I'm just gonna go watch the movie without any expectations. I mean, how bad could it be, right? Famous last words, 2015. Okay, so I plunked myself down in the movie theater, not really knowing what the movie is gonna be like because I have not watched the trailers. I have not watched any movie promotional material whatsoever. I just know that, well, the main characters are all Japanese and some other stuff from billboards and stuff I've seen. That's about it. So I pretty much walked in with no expectations. And this is your final warning for spoilers. If you are intending to watch the movie or whatever, turn back now. It's not too late. It's never too late to turn back. Anyway, the movie starts with a quick introduction a la anime or manga, whichever you prefer, that says humanity has gone to hiding for years and years and years, and not a single titan has been seen for hundreds of years. People are hiding behind the walls after some bad thing happened and a lot of humanity got eaten by titans, so everybody's hiding behind the wall. Okay, this part is similar to the anime slash manga because this is really important. I mean, people don't leave the confines of the wall because it ain't safe out there. So far, so good. They start most of the beginning part of the movie is quite similar to that of the pilot episode. So like, okay, this looks good. Sure, everybody's Japanese and stuff, and a lot of people look almost exactly the same to me, but that's not really an issue. And then the main characters show up. This is where it starts feeling really, really awkward. The main characters are pretty much introduced as full-grown adults as opposed to being kids, or at least early teens as far as I remember. They're working jobs and stuff. It literally starts with the whole, Eren lost his job again, can't even keep a job to save his life. Then Mikasa and Armin, after being handed a weird doodad he made by a kid telling him to please fix this damn thing, it's broke, go off to find Eren who's standing on a bombshell. Now, I'm okay with the whole standing on the bombshell looking all stoic and stuff, but that bombshell is all plot device. You see, somewhere through the movie, you get to see remnants of the world before this happened to reinforce the whole this is post-apocalyptic wherever. Cause like on the wall itself, you actually see a broken helicopter, and in some parts of the movie, in the place of actually having horses, they are using armored truck. I don't mind this part so much because filming with horses is difficult and costly, so I'm willing to overlook that part at the very least. Okay, back to the main story. The pilot episode and the beginning part of the movie actually shares a lot of things in common, and I actually like this part until it goes to where they could hit the wall. And when the Titans originally breach the wall after getting kicked in by the Colossal Titan, which looks awesome in CG, gotta hand it to this movie that CG is really, really good. As far as I can tell anyway. I'm not really picky when it comes to my CG. I actually get this real feeling of hopelessness as the people on the wall try and shoot the Titans, and in their panic they get eaten and stuff. But that goes to another problem, the Titans themselves. With the exception of the Colossal Titan, which pretty much appears, kicks a hole in the wall and disappears, like he does in both the manga and the anime, I feel the Titans are a bit too slow. I mean, when the wall opens, you get a whole bunch of different Titans and stuff. They walk in really, really slowly, as opposed to the faster Titans I'm used to seeing. And also the body dysphoria is very different from what I've seen in the anime as well. As far as I know about Titans, they are not supposed to be gender diverse, but instead, we get to see Titan boobies. There are literally two very female-shaped Titans walking in through the front door, and this really strikes me as wrong because there are not supposed to be any female Titans with the exception of that one special one which is why they consider an anomaly. Female Titans do not exist because even though the Titan can look male or female, they pretty much do not have genitalia. Having two honking boobs in front is just wrong. They ain't right. And not even complaining about the boobs themselves. Titans are not supposed to be portrayed with gender because they have no gender. They even affirmed this somewhere later in the movie when Hangei starts running around saying that Titans have no nipples because they got no reproductive organs. Get your facts right, bitch. So they breach the wall and we see them eat humans with a particular savor you don't really see them do in the anime. It's like they pick up a human and eat them really, really slowly like they are eating a piece of shrimp. It's like, yum, yum, this is really good. I have not had a human for 100 years. Let's savor this slowly. As opposed to them just eating and eating and eating as fast as they can, like we normally see them portrayed. Also, we see a bunch of 5-meter titans, which I find very weird because we only see a bunch of 5-meter titans for a short while, and then they pretty much totally disappear for the rest of the movie. It's like they were just there for the sake of like, you know, showing a whole bunch of small titans fight over scraps of somebody's leg and stuff. And that part annoys me a little bit. Also, the titans in this movie, like a lot of monsters from other movies, suffer from ninja syndrome, as I call it. They are totally piss quiet until required to appear. Just like, oh, I'm going to tiptoe over there very, very slowly. And then when the moment I get close, I'm going to stomp once to make sure everybody knows I'm there. Then I'll continue my own merry way, knocking over buildings and stuff, as though I really didn't care in the first place. See, that kind of bothers me a bit. But otherwise, titans are fine. They look big, creepy to an extent, I suppose. They're ugly, not really nice to look at, really monstrous. That part, I think they're okay. Because the so-called female-shaped titan doesn't appear again. This particular bunch of female titans talking about is not that special female titan you see that knows karate and stuff. No, this is just regular old titans with boobs. Oh, also, in the opening sequence, the titans seem to be laughing a lot. For what I remember, titans really just make like moaning, groaning sounds and stuff. This one's got like, ha 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 ha. Humans, fear me. You taste more delicious when you're terrified. Ha! But enough about titans, I've been talking a bit too long about them. Okay, as the movie progresses, we see the entire town get massacred by titans. And if you guys already didn't realize, this series is extremely gory. They use a lot of gore in the earlier parts of the movie. Especially during the church scene, you can see like blood dripping everywhere and like... I didn't like that part that much because I was like, ugh. Maybe the ew factor is definitely there. A whole bunch of humans squashed in one tiny place where they can't escape. Blood is spilling everywhere. And when people get bitten in half by titans, they really drop tons and tons of blood. I mean, so much blood, I don't think even humans have that much blood. Everybody's a giant mess. The entire town is laid to waste. Oh, I forgot to mention. Mikasa gets trapped outside the church and she mysteriously disappears. We assume she gets eaten by a titan, but at the same time, we know that she's probably going to survive. So she just mysteriously disappears and leaves us all extremely confused. And then we jump to a scene 2 years later. Our friends Eren and Armin have drafted into the military, and they are being briefed on 3D maneuver gears by Hanji, which appears a short while later. For all the characters in the movie, I think Hanji was the best portrayed. She was incredibly on point. The actor looked like her, acted like her. She was a geek for Titans. I loved the acting for this one. No two ways about it. I can't say much for the rest of them though. Well, anyway, derailing again. I'm doing this without a script, so please bear with me. Now fast forward 2 years, and after being introduced as Hange introduces the 3D maneuver gear, which strangely appears to be something that she invented, by the way it's portrayed, the entire group is getting ready to go out for a scouting party. And within a scouting party, they discover Baby Titan. A very large baby-shaped titan which acts and sounds like a baby, throws tantrums and stuff, and causes the party to meet their first bunch of titans because the people who went to go and investigate it decided to run screaming after they found the titan and attract everybody else, which causes the first wave of casualties. This part I don't mind that much because it just shows how vulnerable they are. I actually spent a bit of this section with my eyes closed because I was so sure it's going to be a jump scare. But there wasn't any, so it was just me being a usual wuss, so that's fine. So it is at this part where we get reintroduced to Shikishima, I think, who is pretty much who we're going to call not Levi now, because they took his character and combined him together with Levi. Before this, there were some parts in the camp where they showcase some of the other characters. I mean, they make cameos for some of the more minor characters like Sasha and Jean. Basically cameos, and after that we get to see how big of a glutton Sasha is, and this serves for some rather awkward comic relief. Like I said, the movie is quite serious, so the whole awkward shoving mouthful of food parts it's a little bit unbearable, because it's like not listening, it's all she just wants to shove a mouthful like a titan. Not hinting that she's a titan, because she really isn't one. Yeah, that part was actually quite awkward, but of all the other performances, actually what Sasha did actually is fairly on point for her character, so I won't exactly diss it for that. So after that first encounter with the Titans outside the wall, which might I add does not even look anything like the wall, because they tried to make it look more realistic, I think, so it's not perfect circles. It looks like it was built rather haphazardly. And due to the incident that happened 2 years ago, the outer ring of the wall has been compromised and they're running out of food, so they need to go and explore the outer end with explosives to close the hole in the wall, if I remember correctly. Some parts are going to be a bit fuzzy because I'm just really tired and forgetting things along the way. And if I did miss something or you'd like to argue with me, please feel free to put it in the comments below. I always welcome discussion, as long as it doesn't end up people bashing each other for no damn reason. Anyway, after that, while everybody is resting, Eren goes and meets up with Mikasa again after the fight, and sort of discovers that she and the baby that she tried to save got eaten by a titan. She even shows off this giant tooth mark shaped scar, which I think looks ridiculously funny. But she doesn't explain how or who saved her. All we know is Shikashima picked her up and trained her to become the badass she is right now. Which kind of convinces me that she's actually Batman, because the way she swoops in and all that and all the angst, she pretty much could be Batman minus all the money. And she has fantastic hair. So after a brief altercation with each other, if you can call it that, even though it mostly involves them staring at each other, Eren runs out and starts screaming his ass off because he's frustrated. And this other chick, whose name I cannot remember, but we shall call her MILF Lady, she was introduced for a very short while in the beginning of the movie, waving goodbye to a 2-year-old child as he goes to join the Scout Patrol. I guess they did this for pure tearjerker value, if not anything else. But let's get back to that. So she runs out and she pulls Eren away, saying, "Stop that, you're going to attract more titans," and drags him inside. Wherein we find the two lovebirds, which I think were invented solely for this story just so they can be plot devices, having little rumpus at the back. So after chatting a little bit with each other, MILF tries to have surprise sex with Eren, and he doesn't like it. But in the process of her getting down to business with him, which he is still standing there like a frozen goose, we see a giant titan eye out the window. Our ninja titans have arrived, and and the wall gets broken. The titan grabs her and pretty much eats her while she's screaming for a kid because she doesn't want to die yet. After that, fight number 2 breaks loose, and in the process, Lover Girl's guy gets beaten in half by a titan. Grieving his loss, she attempts to kamikaze drive their truck full of explosives into a titan to destroy them all in a fit of blind rage. This was when the truck was apparently stolen by this strange hooded thief which we bumped into earlier in the movie, which we do not know who is he working for or what it is from. But the truck of explosives somehow manages to ignite before he manages to get away with it. She jumps in, they have a short scuffle, and then she rams the entire shebang into the foot of a titan and causes a humongous explosion. They're pretty much destroying almost all the explosives they had left, which pretty much means everybody's boned. And it is in this fight where the entire team gets dispersed and we finally get to see everybody using their maneuver gears, as though they suddenly remember how to use the stuff that they strapped to their butts the whole time. This is where the movie gets back on track with the canon, where Eren gets into a fight with some of the titans and he gets his foot bitten off. He crash lands on a roof somewhere. And just before he turns into a titan, as we know, no, actually, he basically just lies there until Armin almost gets eaten by a titan, and then he does the whole heroic thing where he jumps into the titan's mouth and throws Armin out of harm's way and then gets bitten himself, including his arm flying off into one side, which is exactly what happened in the anime. Then he gets a brief trip down all the way to the Titan's stomach, where he gets to see MILF Lady getting digested. And he sits in there stewing with grief and angst and anger and whatever for a while Titan goes about his business. As while the shot pans out to see everybody else like, oh no, Eren got eaten, and Armin's like, oh, it's all my fault. It's all my fault. This is after he's been missing a long time in the movie, by the way. So fast forward to from that part, Mikasa gets really pissed that Eren gets eaten, and she decides to kick the asses of all the Titans available, even though she's running out of gas, which is also what happened in the anime. She runs around, she shoots stuff, she kills stuff, a few things, then she flies off and falls off in the corner, in a very similar scene to the anime, because she ran out of gas, and she flops there. Now in her luck, the same very fat Titan which had eaten Eren earlier pops up, and decides to start scratching its belly and make odd noises because apparently it's having a bellyache, and then boom! 2 big hands come out of his mouth and it's pretty much torn apart from the inside as Titan Eren emerges. With lightning and stuff. Well, it's pretty gory and gore-festy, but if you like seeing splatter fix, then this might be the thing for you. So he explodes and he goes out for a very satisfying, gratuitous beatdown of all the other Titans in the area. I actually kind of like this part because, well, half of it is because I got to see Hanji nerding out like, oh my god, so magnificent. And the other is just seeing Eren beat the shit out of everything. His Titan form is quite close to what it was in the original anime/manga, except that parts of his skin were like glowing brighter than normal, I think. I don't really remember exactly, I was too mesmerized by everything exploding. And pretty much after laying the beat down and everything, he sort of like reverts out of his Titan form and just goes plop on the ground, where suddenly, not Levi, says you gotta cut him open before it assimilates the cells or whatever, and seems to know stuff about Titans nobody else does. So they peel Eren out, plop him to the side, and everybody goes like, whoa, so that's why you cut off their napes to the neck. You killed the person riding around inside, or something similar like that. It is addressed more in the anime and the manga, but more in the manga because they haven't made any more episodes of the anime just yet. And the movie pretty much concludes there for part 1. You can see some snippets of part 2 and all that, but I won't go into detail for that because I think I've been talking a bit too long already. That's pretty much what I wanted to say about the movie actually. If you had gone in with no expectations or you're not a fan of the movie, I'll give it a 6 out of 10 in general. But if you're a fan of the movie, I think you may or may not like it because some parts of it stays true to the anime and manga while others is totally weird. Like I like how they managed to stick to the original pilot a little bit before the entire plot went haywire. If there is a plot, some would argue. The character portrayals were quite spot on for Sasha and for Hange, but not for everybody else. I found Eren's character kinda irritating, even though he pretty much is built that way. Mikasa became from all cutesy, which she really wasn't really cutesy to begin with. She's always been a kind of a stoic kid, but to see her act that way in adult form is a bit unsettling. And I feel they didn't show enough of how smart Armin is. I mean, he pretty much is missing for 3/4 of the film. He only appears when it's convenient for him. And they do show a little bit of his soft side, like, dude, stop crying. Eren actually just tells him that. Because he's still a softie or whatever. I might be getting things wrong because the entire movie is in Japanese and I have to rely totally on subtitles for the entire movie. So it's quite possible that I actually managed to miss something along the way. In terms of the graphical effects and all that, I'd say it's pretty good. The CGI wasn't bad. The environments were quite nice actually. I really like post-apocalyptic stuff like Mad Max and all that. So it had that appeal to me actually. And the movie does manage to put suspense in the right places sometimes, but I generally feel that the spacing of the movie is a bit weird. It's like fast, slow, and they spent a bit too much time explaining the situation in the earlier part of the movie, so it was like they just spent a bit too much time winding up to the part where Eren gives Mikasa her scarf, and I didn't like that much. I mean, a lot of movies have problem with pacing, but that also kind of ticked me off a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm going to watch the second part of the movie, because it's really not out yet, and I do not know when it will be showing in our cinemas, because we tend to get things pretty damn late, everything considered. So that will probably conclude my rant slash review right now. So, and again, if you really, really love Attack on Titan, the manga or the anime, you may or may not want to watch this. I personally had people who really hated it and people who kind of liked it from fans that I know, and from people who had no idea about the movie at all. They were like okay with it. It's still a decent action flick, but if you are a real digging fan of the series, it might offend your sensibilities in more ways than one. So that would be the end of what I think. And thank you all so much for listening in. I'm not sure if I would do this again because it's pretty time consuming, and I feel really weird just talking into space because it's not the same as a game review. But again, thank you so much for listening in, and maybe I'll see you in another episode if I feel the need to make another one. So yes, thanks for listening in, and good night.